Oh, wow. Pulse was much better in that take.
I think that worked a little bit better. I still didn't quite get the turn that you were
Yes,
talking
that's right.
about.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
The only thing we need actually for the first page.
But hearing it back actually helped me get a much clearer sense of what was going on.
Glad you like doing that. A lot of people never listen to a playback during an entire session.
Well, it's a very humbling experience, but it's very useful. It just shows everything the way it is. I remember when I was growing up, I would collect recordings on LP. I still had some of those, and I remember having the impression that with really good equipment, the sound on these is incredibly warm in a way that MP3s or MP4s, it doesn't seem to my ears to necessarily capture the same thing. Is that fair to say?
Oh, there's no question of that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a compressed format.
It's a compressed format, and I feel like for the generation of musicians growing up now, if that's all they hear, they won't really know why it was that previous generations got so excited about collecting the best stereo equipment, the best recordings, the best pressings.
You know, it's funny because I have a different irritation relating to that, which is that I go out and I buy the best microphones, best converters, the best mic preamps, all the best stuff you can buy to record
lot of
so that
equipment
people
here.
can download it on MP3. You know,
Oh,
where it
right.
sounds like 50% of the quality of what you actually get on the physical final media.
Exactly. And I didn't even know what the difference meant until one day I played an MP3 version of a recording that I had on CD, and I remember that the dynamics, the louds didn't sound as loud, the softs didn't sound as soft.
Well, you know what they do? They throw out about 83% of the data when they make a MP3 of a 1644.1 file. About 5/6 of the data is thrown out. Because otherwise, you know, it wouldn't be downloadable. A CD is 600 megabytes for an hour. Think of how long it would take to download 600 megabytes. So everybody wants to download, you know, want their instant download. Oh, I'm going to buy this song, and 2 minutes later it's on your iPod. So, I mean, if I owned an iPod, which I don't, I would actually put material on it in full resolution. Then you have to do something about those crappy headphones.
Exactly.
With it.
Exactly.
I have one client I've made at least a dozen CDs with her that she makes the majority of her money selling them at her concerts. She's made $20,000 a year just selling her CDs at her concerts.
And that's probably more than she would make if
Playing
this
the
were-
concert.
Right, exactly. in a lot
But
of
that's,
cases.
you know, it becomes also a calling card. It's something you send with to a manager, or something you send them physical media. You see, to me, live performance and recording are not even the same art. You know, studio, I say studio recording is your idealized version of how you want to play a piece. And a concert is a concert. That's how you actually play. So I never actually judge pianists on the basis of their recordings because I know, as well as anybody, how much editing goes into it, how many takes go into it, and all that.
A lot of times they can't actually play that way.
Yeah, that's true also. Other times they come to the studio completely unprepared, don't even know how they want to interpret it, never mind playing the notes, and then we construct it. That's why the motto of my studio is, we make beautiful music one bar at a time. It's all about their budget. If they're scared that it's going to be too expensive, then they actually do prepare and they come in really prepared. But I could tell you stories about people who came into the session literally not knowing the piece they're about to record. Never mind not knowing the notes and how to play it, but they have no idea how to interpret it. And they would call me into the studio and say, "Do you have any idea how I should play this?" I'm saying to myself, "You're making a recording here." What?
Right.
Duh. You know, some people will not come into the studio until they've played a piece in concert for a long time. Somebody like Kissin, for example, you know, he wants to take a piece on tour for the entire year before he'll commit it to recording.
Exactly. Well, it's good
Which
to
is
live
very
with the
smart.
piece, yes.
Yeah. But some people just want to get it down as quickly as possible, and they learn things fast, and they don't really think about it. And then you have really lousy performances of things like Beethoven sonatas where they haven't spent 5 minutes actually thinking about what's in the piece, but just how to execute it.
Exactly.
In which case, they really do execute it in every sense of the word. I mean, you see, I have a friend, for example, who will be recording Trifonov tonight, by the way, who has 2 microphones mounted on his glasses. And he has the recorder in his pocket, and it runs down his back, and nobody can see anything. And he is absolutely, I mean, as stealth as you can be. And he gets great recordings. He's very well to do because he has a very high paying job. He's not a professional musician at all. And he goes, sits in the first row, gets phenomenal sounding pirate recordings.
So
And he very freely shares them with everybody.
what kind of recorder is this big and records?
Oh,
at that?
there's dozens of them.
There are.
I could quote.
Now the digital.
I'll show you one.
Yeah.
Was that the Sony portable
This is
digital
just-
recorder? That's exactly
okay,
what I
so-
have.
PCM D50.
Yeah.
Okay, should we go to the
That fits.
camera?
That fits in any coat
Okay,
pocket.
yeah, absolutely.
You attach an external mic to it.
I myself have
Makes a great
used
recording.
exactly that machine to record some concerts.
And-
I'm sure.
And how much
Did
does
you use the
something like
mics
this
on it
cost?
or
I
external?
usually use the mics on
They're
it, but
not
then
bad at all.
they're not bad. I have to place them well.
How much
Why
do-
do you like
how much does it
pirating
cost?
music?
600.
What is that about? Why do you like
Because that's real performance. Nobody knows better than me how fake CDs are. CDs are not real performances. CDs are manufactured, edited to insanity level. I mean, if Zsolt and I were to take the 3 takes that we did and edit them together, that first page would probably have about 20 edits on it.
Exactly.
I mean, it would be the idealized conception of how he likes to play this Schubert impromptu. But it wouldn't be a performance. You can't call that a performance. You go into a hall and you record somebody playing, that's a performance. That's real piano playing. And lots of people agree with me because lots of people do it.
And that's where music comes alive for me.
You know, I once counted at a Kissin recital 50 people in the audience that I personally knew were recording. Most of the pianists I know are delighted when somebody records their concert.
I would find that
They
flattering.
can't say that in public because the halls don't allow it, and it's a union thing.
Yes.
You know, if the union found out about it, they would say, well, you know, it's a recording, so we have to get paid our recording fees, which are astronomical, and obviously the hall doesn't want to do it, so the hall's stated policy is you can't do this.
Right.
The truth is the hall doesn't care.
Right.
I can't say who it is, who
Right.
these people are, but if I gave you a list of the pianists I personally know who are delighted when there's a successful recording of their concerts, you wouldn't believe it. Many of the biggest names in the world.
Oh, absolutely. For example, we can speak about him because he's dead now, but Richter, he freely admitted that his greatest recordings were pirates, that
Yeah.
audience members recorded the concerts.
And there's so many of them.
And I grew up collecting those recordings,
Yeah.
and still do. Some years ago in Carnegie Hall, there was a performance.
November 1st, 2006, to be exact.
November 1st of 2006, there were 2 prominent artists who appeared on stage. And there was a huge scandal, which was written up in the New York Times. What can you tell me about that evening?
basically what it was that he accused me of recording the concert while on stage in Carnegie Hall.
So he actually got up and pointed at you?
Yeah, he got up and he pointed at me and he yelled something at me, but the crowd was too noisy. It was dying down, and I didn't actually hear what he said, so I just went like that.
Uh-huh.
And, security actually stopped me after the concert.
And they
And-
interrogated you, right?
Well, they interrogated. I mean, this is hardly a police department. They said the artist claims you're recording the concert. So my response was, the artist is a fool. Do you see any recording equipment? I opened up my jacket, and they inspected it and looked at my cell phone and all this. Finally, they realized that I wasn't doing anything. So but actually, I should go back to what happened. He saw me at the end of the first half. He told security, this guy's recording the concert, which wasn't true. I didn't bring any recording equipment or anything like that.
Exactly.
They held up the second half for 40 minutes, and they kept walking back and forth and looking at me, trying to see if they could spot anything. Now, the funny part is, I've been going to Carnegie Hall since 1975. I know all these guys. Some of these guys have been security people there for more than 30 years. I walk by, I'd say hi to them, I wave at them. Meanwhile, they're sort of like trying to do their job, and meanwhile, they don't really want to, that kind of thing. But they're looking at me and they're saying hello. And finally, they must have gone backstage and said to him, this guy isn't recording anything. We don't see anything on him. And I found out later that Carnegie's policy is not to eject or disturb a patron unless security itself sees the infraction being committed. Because on paper, you're not allowed to record concerts in the hall. It says so right at the bottom of the first page of every program. But since they didn't see me do anything, they couldn't do anything. And they finally said to him, hey, you better go out and play the second half because this guy ain't doing nothing.
And the
But
account...
he wanted to make sure. So when he sat down, he pointed at me and yelled at me.
He pointed at you
He
and
pointed at me and he said, I hope you're not, I think he said, I hope you're not recording or something like that.
Because what the New York Times said, they said, well, there was someone in the audience who was recording the concert and destroyed the concert.
That's what he said. He said before the encore, he apparently said, I didn't hear this because I left right after the last piece, before the encores. He said something about somebody trying to destroy the concert, as he put it. And as I left, I said, you can tell Mr. X that he won't have to concern himself with my appearances at his concerts from here on in.
Is classical music dying?
If you look at my schedule for next 6 weeks, I definitely have to say no to that.
Okay.
No, I think it's changing. There's a perception that the only people who go to classical concerts are 80-year-old people. That's baloney. I see lots of young people.
I see lots of young people, too.
And by the way, the Asian influence is astounding. Everybody in China is taking piano lessons.
Oh, yeah. That's the next wave of classical music. To see you. Yeah, right.